Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my New Jersey Devils franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. You know the deal. We are back in the playoffs. However, it has a similar feeling to the last time we were in the playoffs, where we know that the off-season before us is going to be more important than the series that is directly before us. There are changes that we are likely to make that perhaps are being made a year later than they should have been made, at least at the very least a couple of months later than they perhaps should have been made. This is the team that we're going to roll with. We are giving Jesper Bratt the keys to the car. This is it. If he cannot perform well in this situation, he's off the team. He's one of those guys where, okay, we don't quite know what he's gonna, what the issue is with, hey, you put up numbers, but god damn it, you have been a minus player for your entire career. Why are you struggling so much to play defense when your defensive ratings aren't even that bad? He's a really interesting case to the point where it's like, okay, we know that Hischier and Hall are golden. There's no way, if that line struggles, that it's Hischier and Hall, unless magically this ends up being their one-off series. So if that line gets dragged down, it's your fault. And only your fault alone, Mr. Bratt, and you will be off of this team ASAP. Now, obviously the risk here is putting Jack Hughes on the second line, but Hughes and Gusev on the second line, Hischier, Hall on the first line, Jesus, the offensive firepower there is unreal. And the third line too, Boqvist, Barrett, Palmieri is tremendous. Like, I still really like the forward lines. Defensively, the one issue this season, of course, is that you had... Now, yes, to what was pointed out in the comments, obviously, when you have forwards putting up as many points as they put up, you're going to have defensemen that also struggle, or at least that struggle a little bit more. I still say guys like Butcher and Severson should have been able to do better, though, in terms of point production. But then there was the issue of Smith not exactly performing well, and, of course, Mort Seider also getting sent down. And I know it's not, I was going to say Martinek. I know it's not Martinek. It's Patrick Spurgeon, who was also sent down. Bernard and Walsh stepped in and performed at a relatively high level. It's not the ideal situation there. Whether or not we should have gone out and traded for Roman Josi or somebody else, probably. But the biggest question mark heading into this postseason is this man right here. This is it. If we do not see a strong effort from Mackenzie Blackwood, he's gone. And of course, we had the option to get rid of him in the last postseason. We stuck with him. We nearly got the first, second, and third round compensation. We would have ended up with a first and a third. I thought that was a little bit low. We'll see what happens here. There are a lot of players on this team who are playing for jobs right now, when we do have a litany of talented players down in the AHL. Whether it's Cutler, Persson, Badini could make the team next year easily. You have guys like Altar Barmakian, Pivonka, Zetterlund, who are going to be pushing for spots. And defensively, I mean, Spurgeon, Seider, Martinek. There's a lot of competition here. Not to mention, someone like Jan Bednar might very well be the backup goaltender next year. He will probably be good enough to be the backup goalie next year. So there is a lot of pressure on a lot of players here. And in the meantime, there's the situation of knowing that, hey, if we lose here, Taylor Hall's a year older, and things could get a little bit concerning. This is the Buffalo team that we are up against. Skinner, Eichel, and Marcus Johansson on the top line. Steen, Reinhart, and Yoel Armia. Marcus Davidson next to Casey Middlestat and Drake Caggiula. Fourth line of Brock McGinn, Rasmus Asplund, and Kyle Okposo. Very, very good center depth. That is the key for them, absolutely. And defensively... Oh, God. Dahlin, Subban, Jokiharju, Colin Miller, Bergman, Montour. Yikes. That is going to be very tough to deal with because we know the goaltending tandem's good. It's Luukkonen and it's Leonard. I think a lot of you were expecting us to probably lose in the first round anyway. That's certainly my expectation now as well. This would absolutely be an upset if we're able to walk away with a win here. We'll see what happens. At the very least, I want to look at the overall ratings and how they compare. Yeah, we have the higher rated offense. That's not surprising, but the defense and goaltending advantage is in their favor. we'll see how this goes down. The fact that, who knows, maybe Robin Leonard will be our goalie next year. We'll have to find a solution if Mackenzie Blackwood can't get his game under control. We started the regular season off on such a hot note and just kind of, carried along with nothing over, I don't want to say nothing overly negative. We had those losing streaks, but we just continued on the path, not quite at the level we were thinking of. Playoffs, though, it's all reset. We have a chance to figure this out, but we have to do so against a very, very tough Buffalo team. Let's get this series underway. First period of Game 1. It's a goal-apiece effort. Jack Hughes against his former team, and Brandon Montour with the goals, both from terrible spots. Second period, advantage to neither side, actually. Rasmus Dahlin and Nico Hischier with the goals. We're about even in shots. As close as you can get right now. The first goal here, though, in the third period may be the difference maker and ultimately the winning goal. Two of our top players, if not arguably our two top players in general. No disrespect to Taylor Hall. Damn it. Carrying the way, Armia scores from a terrible spot. Is that enough for Buffalo to walk away with the winning Game 1? It is. Colin Miller, an empty netter. The Sabres take that first game. Put up 42 shots, 2 goals. They had really 3 goals on 34 shots. The difference there, the goaltending. And ultimately where Blackwood was beaten from on the ice, not great. He did not let in high-quality chances in that game. A .912 save percentage isn't going to cut it. Sabres take Game 1. They weren't exactly on the hottest stretch heading into the postseason. That's not the game that we wanted to see. I am intrigued in the top line. Brad, surprisingly not a minus player. Taylor Hall was. Makes me wonder if they scored a shorthanded goal. There wasn't one line in particular that got picked apart in that game. I suppose that's good. The goaltending just wasn't what we needed it to be. We go to Game 2. If there wasn't menu lag, we'd be there much, much sooner. But we'll go to that second game. How many times do I get hit down the D-pad? Thank you. 3 times was the correct answer. It's Game 2. Here in Buffalo. Can we steal a game on the road? We're going to need to if we want to put the pressure on them. Let's see what happens. First period, advantage, Sabres. Armia and Skinner, again, from terrible spots on the ice. Second period, we get one back. My God. Why go to the slot? Why go to high percentage areas when you can just shoot it from wherever you want? Mackenzie Blackwood's going to let it in. Will Butcher gets our goal, but we're down 3-1, and at this rate, Peter Kokechkov is going to be starting Game 3. Blackwood is continuing to do what he's done over the past few years, and that is blow every single opportunity and just blow in general and not be good enough to get the job done. Middlestat scores. At least that one was close to the goal. Still not a great spot, though. And ultimately, that'll do it. 4-1 win for the Sabres. They would take both games at home to start this series. Luukkonen doing quite well. A 2-goal night from Jeff Skinner, or for Jeff Skinner. Phrase it however you want. The Mackenzie Blackwood era in New Jersey's over. Bottom line, it's over. I don't trust him to get back into the series. I can't. Like, if he was just getting beat from, good spots, sure. It's awful. It's awful. He's done. He is absolutely done. So we'll make the switch. I'll be able to send him down. Of course, because of the lack of waivers, he's going to be traded. Kokechkov is going to be given an opportunity. Prove to me that you are worthy enough to be the backup goaltender in this upcoming season. That's what I'm looking for. Otherwise, the man we just called up, the man that will be your backup for the rest of the way in the playoffs, is taking your job, and he will be the backup next season more than likely. So the Blackwood era is over. Those 2 games, that was all I needed to see. Peter Kokechkov will get the start in Game 3 back home in New Jersey. The top line hasn't really been clicking. I mean, there's one line between the 3 of them. So at least they're not hemorrhaging goals. That's really been the third line that's struggled. And for that reason, we are going to make a change there. Let's put Coleman on that side. Bring over Barrett. We actually want Barrett to play center. And we'll go with Kovalchuk, Boqvist, and Palmieri. We'll see if that does anything defensively. Smith and Walsh have been solid. Let's go with... I mean, Schultz has been one of our better, but he's been quiet thus far. Let's go with Butcher, Severson, Bernard, Schultz. So quite a few changes here. But I feel like they're necessary if we're going to have a chance here, because otherwise we're facing down being swept. And yeah, they're the better team. I'd like to think we're better than, getting swept in the first round. Maybe we're not. Maybe that's not the case. So first period here of Game 3, early advantage to the Sabres. Middlestat scores. See, at least it was, it wasn't from way the hell outside. So hey, I'll take that. Second period, Subban and Eichel. This series is over. Palmieri scores, but no doubt about it, this series is over. We just have no answer right now. Absolutely none. We don't have a way to beat Luukkonen, who seems like a superhero whenever he's not in net for us. Shout out to the Finland series. And the Sabres, Bratt scores late, but too little, too late. 3-2 final. The Sabres have a 3-0 series lead in this game. Kokechkov at 9:30. It's not bad. Didn't really get beat from any horrific angles. He'll start Game 4, but right now it's not looking too good, is it? It really isn't. So I'm thinking here. I mean, Bratt, he's been inoffensive, but something has to change. Something has to change, because that second line's been very, very quiet. A lot of our better players have been very, very quiet. I think, if anything, we just don't even bother. We resign to the fact that we're going to lose here, and we admit defeat. Game 4. I think, again, this season will be remembered for my mistake, and I own it. I gave Blackwood one more chance. I gave him 2 more chances, really, by not trading him at the deadline. We didn't add pieces that might have been able to push this team over the edge. It's tough when you want to stick with some of these players, and it just doesn't happen. Goal apiece in the first period here of Game 4. Gusev and Eichel both scoring from pretty poor spots. We go to the second round, shooting him 13-5. And we're up 4-2. So Taylor Hall gives us the lead. Middlestat ties it less than a minute later. Jesper Bratt and Nikita Gusev both score. And we have a 4-2 lead. Again, a horrible angled goal for Middlestat. But we make it work. We're up by 2 in a must-win game. Otherwise, our postseason is over. Our postseason's over and done with. And the offseason begins. Middlestat scores again. Brings them back to within 1. With 10 minutes left. Power play. Buffalo ties it. Jeff Skinner. I think we found the weakness in terms of the spot on ice for Kokechkov. Are we destined for overtime, or will there be a winner? It's overtime. Here in Game 4. Not going to hype it up too much. Let's see what happens. Will we be swept in the first round by the Sabres, or will we, at the very least, force a 5th game back in Buffalo? The Sabres complete the sweep. From 4-2 down to a 5-4 victory in overtime, the Buffalo Sabres sweep the New Jersey Devils. Nightmare scenario there. An absolute nightmare. Bottom line, again, I can admit they have a better team than we do. At least when it comes to the defense and the goaltending, we should have been better than that. Comes down to this. 1 goal for Hall, 1 goal for Hischier, 1 goal for Jack Hughes. The big names just didn't step up. The big names did not step up. You had someone like Damon Severson, who again is in a contract year. I don't know if he's coming back because he struggled. Evan Barrett was pretty poor as well. And ultimately, the goaltending let us down again. So I don't know. As I had to, blow a fly off of my hand. That was fun. Just to look down. It's like, oh, cool, there is something crawling on me. What we're likely to do here is go to the draft. We'll probably go through the draft in this episode, just to keep people guessing about the results of the series. And we'll leave the re-sign phase up to you guys and the rest of the offseason as the Devils, the Binghamton Devils, have improved or have moved on. We should probably follow how well they're doing, but I gotta be honest, I just want to focus on the draft. The good thing is we know our younger players are getting a little bit more time. I'll leave the re-sign phase up to you guys, because there are those decisions like, hey, what are we doing with Damon Severson? Guess what? I don't know. If it was up to me, I'd probably think about just letting him go. I suppose the correct move there is really dependent on what the upcoming free agent class looks like and whether or not we really want to trust some of our other young defensemen, because thus far, trusting our young defensemen hasn't worked out. As the Belleville Sens end up winning the Calder Cup, the Tampa Bay Lightning take home the Stanley Cup this year. So we'll quickly take a look at what a winning team looks like. At least you better hope so if you're Patrick Maroon, just signing with the Lightning. So, I mean, yeah, Stammer, Kucherov, Edward Baumgartner, who was a 4th overall pick. Yanni Gord, Gabe Fortier developed quite well, up to an 82. Sorelli, Joseph, Kaloran, Ernie, who of course since has gone to Detroit, and Shushkin. It's about what you would expect, I suppose. And then defensively, Sergachev, Hedman. I mean, outside of DeKaiser, Scandella, you probably don't expect that. And goaltending-wise, it was Vasilevsky. 941. Yeah, you're going to win a Stanley Cup if your goalie has a 941 save percentage. That's pretty much fact. Buffalo fell to Tampa in round 2. Tampa beat Carolina and then swept Dallas in the final. The Devils ultimately lost to the eventual Calder Cup champion Belleville in that second round. Jack Bedini did what he could as Belleville, it wasn't enough as Belleville wins their second. So let's take a look here. Johnny Gaudreau wins the Art Ross, Nathan McKinnon the Hart. The Norris goes to Cale Makar, McKinnon wins Lady Byng. The Calder went to Wallstrom. Vassy wins the Conn Smythe. The Vezina to Hellebuck for the second year in a row. Markstrom wins the Jennings. The Masterton to Ben Sherratt. Ryan O'Reilly wins another Selke. And Nathan McKinnon takes home the Ted Lindsay Award. The Rocket Richard, though, goes to Valesi. And down in the AHL, Noel Gunler put up the most points, was league MVP. Wilmer was the top goal scorer. Neighbors was the Rookie of the Year. Ryan Graves, top defenseman. Mikhail Berdin, the top goaltender. MVP of the playoffs, Casey DeSmith. So that brings yet another season to a close. The 2022-2023 season is over and done with. Now, the one thing I was thinking of course, is like, okay, if I really want to get rid of Severson, re-sign him before the draft and then trade him, I'm not going to do that ultimately, as we do not end up with a pick in the top 15. Relatively disappointing. That Ottawa pick ended up not working out all that well for us. The value probably was never higher than it was when we were at the deadline. Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau both retire. Kovalchuk, of course, retired as well. Fitting that Thornton retired in Boston. I mean, 4 players over 1,100 points. That is one hell of a class of talents leaving the league. And then defensively, Keith Yandel, Duncan Keith, Mark Giordano. Of course, we prevented him from retiring as a free agent. Henrik Lundqvist, 1,001 career games. 916 lifetime. Same as Devin Dubnyk. Both finished with a 916 career save percentage. So through the draft, I'm not really sure if we're going to be trading up or making that many deals at all. I mean, it's worth taking a look around the league again to figure out what the hell we're doing with Blackwood. We don't necessarily have to trade him right now. And I mean, we could, but again, it's not necessarily a move we have to do. I'm not a big fan of Kokechkov at this point either. I think the goaltending might have been the most toxic part of the team, as we had the 16th pick and the 23rd overall pick as well. So we'll have a little bit of time to work, because I don't think trading up is something that's going to work for us, but we very well may have the answer in goal. He's just not ready yet, and that's Tyson Mestra. That guy could be a beast, He's on a pretty damn good projection. It's just whether or not that works out for us, and I don't know if it will. And then defensively, Ty Smith's values dropped big time. He dropped from high 4 to medium 4. His value was over Butcher's, and now it's below Martinick's. So if that needs to tell you how it's worked out with Ty Smith, it really hasn't. So like I said, we definitely have decisions to make here. I mean, especially too with like Jesper Bratt, we could give him another chance because he wasn't overly toxic in the playoffs. But, you know, how many chances is someone going to get? I mean, hell, if we keep him and this team is still poor in certain ways, then, I mean, yeah, we kind of know, okay, it wasn't just the goaltending, it was him. I just don't know if I want to make moves right now or if I want to wait it out. That's the tough call. Let's take a look around the league, at least. At the very least. So, I mean, goalie-wise, as far as the replacement is concerned for Blackwood, I mean, Buffalo have Leonard and Luukkonen. Leonard's not a long-term replacement, though. Now, you could argue we don't need a long-term replacement, but that is a rough contract if Leonard starts to regress. Yeah, it might be. Now, it would be worth taking that if we thought for sure Leonard could win us a cup. I have my doubts over Robin Leonard. Again, feel free to look up the Nation United Swedish edition if you ever want to wonder why I have my doubts over Robin Leonard. But that was another game. You know, that was an older game. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Still scared to use certain players. He is one of them. One of these days we'll have to do like a redemption series where I have the players that haunt me the most. Jake Allen. I mean, his deal's up. Now, this was pointed out to me last time. Askarov and Spencer Knight are both LA Kings. And getting one of the two, especially right now, would be a damn good way to go. And you'd think, if you're the Kings, they'd probably move Askarov over Knight. And I'd be okay with going after Yaroslav Askarov. That would be... I mean, that's probably our best bet, aside from going after Leonard. Aside from the fact that Carey Price is down to an 82 at 35 years old, Habs fans, avert your eyes. Because, oh no. As the Islanders also looking to get rid of some of their other goaltenders, but nobody that we'd want. I think that situation in LA is the best thing we could hope for right now. If we're outright trading for a goalie, it's probably going to be Askarov. And even then, potentially doubts over whether or not he is the guy, and how much are we going to have to give up. I mean, the bottom line is to get a player of that caliber, we're giving up our top prospect. Ilya Samsonov's already re-signed to an extension, so I wouldn't be surprised if Holtby's on the block soon. That's the issue here. If we want to trade for a player of that caliber, that a team is not looking to move, we have to give up our goalie for the future anyway. So we better be pretty damn well sure that this guy isn't going to make it. Which is why I'm thinking right now maybe we wait until after the draft. Because that's tough. Because we'll know with Mestra in terms of whether or not he's going to make it by the off-season development. If he's over a 70 overall, there's a decent shot. There's a pretty damn decent shot that he'll be good enough. But it's just a matter of when. And I suppose we are potentially running out of time, at least with the Taylor Hall time frame. I mean, he's only 31. Gusev is 30. Palmieri 32. That's a lot to give up, man. But he might be the goalie that we need, and I haven't used him. Let's poke around with this trade here. Let's poke around. I'm not giving up Cutler. I'm not giving up Persson. Nor am I giving up McLeod. Because if Person's ready, then Bratt just goes. Or, you know, Boqvist or whoever. So there really isn't a forward that I want to give up to make that work value-wise. So that's a bit rough. Outside of like Sorokin's, who might have crazy development and make it still. Low elites, you never know for sure. It's pretty much what it comes down to. Is, hey, we'll give you Mestra. you give us the goalie who's a bit more ready now. And the funny thing is, if we were to trade them Blackwood, he'd basically be their backup this year. Because they'd let go of Jake Allen in that situation, I'm sure. Quick's deal's up. Villalta's deal is up. So we would probably use both of these guys. They would be over the cap. Money-wise, it's not really a concern. I mean, then again, the deal's up, right? So we could just be like, oh, hey, add us Jonathan Quick's deal. And they also wanted to trade Jake Allen, but Jake Allen has a little bit of value somehow. So that's an easy way to offset it. So we give you an equal prospect, an actual prospect to replace the guy who's already ready. We give you a backup goalie to replace. I don't know if that goes through. It did not. So, yeah, it's going to take a franchise goalie prospect plus to pull this trade off, which is a bit scary. We do have draft picks, and we can use other players to try and recoup, potentially. How close does a third rounder get us? Not sufficient at all. Fun. How close does the second round pick get us? Just a bit low, which means I probably need to add another first round pick, knowing how this works. So Mestra, Blackwood, am I sure that there's nobody here to add to this? Aside from Kokechkov, who we're going to probably deal in a separate trade, because that would just screw over Los Angeles, and the AIs are obviously quite dumb. What if we add Myers, who is unsigned? And is there another skater here who's also unsigned, who has a decent bit of value? Kuhlman, I doubt makes it at this point. There are a couple of low elite guys that I doubt make it, but you know what? I'm going to throw him into the mix. And then we'll also still add that second round pick in, and that should go through. That is a steep price to pay, but I think it's worth it. We send Blackwood to LA. He'll be their backup this year. Mestra's just not quite in our window, but Askarov is ready now. We give up 2 prospects and a second round pick. Will that go through? Jesus Christ. What if I retain on Blackwood? That is the worst. That failed trade message haunts my goddamn dreams. Will that go through? There you go. Screw it. Is it worth holding on to Blackwood, for $3 million of Blackwood's deal for one more season to get that to go through? It is. I don't know if he's the guy for sure, but Yaroslav Askarov is the new starting goaltender for the New Jersey Devils. And as I just slammed my elbow on the desk, we'll see if he's good enough. He's still on his ELC. Bednar, like I said, likely to be the backup this year. I do still plan on dealing Kokechkov here, and I do kind of want to see if there's a team that's willing to trade their pick. It'd have to be Arizona at this point. And maybe we can use Askarov if the team doesn't need it, or if the team needs a backup goalie next year. Maybe we can use him and the draft picks we have to trade up and try to make something happen. Unfortunately, nobody seems to want to trade their picks, which I believe is something that they fixed in NHL 20. I believe there's an indicator that shows on screen when teams want to trade their draft picks. So that's going to be very, very nice, and I won't have to do something like this, where I'm just like, hey, please, nope, okay, back out, go to the next one. So that's going to be a pretty nice change. At this rate, okay, Philly. You have Sandstrom, Darude Sandstrom, as your, where's a guy on the block? You have a shitload of guys on expiring deals. Technically, you could use a better backup. I think I'm going to do this. So we will add Sandstorm to the deal. I know that's not his aim. And again, I am done with Kokechkov. He just didn't cut it. And to offset the value, let's use that Ottawa 23rd. That should do it. So you get a better backup goalie to drop down 13 spots. I'm going to add a 5th round pick just to make myself feel better about this trade. Never mind. Will that go through now? All right, a little bit more. You know what? I feel like that's a fair enough deal in a way. So, hey, any unsigned guys that I'm not confident in? What about Gill? Gill and Inglis. See if I can add old Gill and Barnett to the deal. And what about Renz? Will that go through? Thank you very much, Philadelphia. So we move up. We get the 10th overall pick in the draft. Blackwood and Kokechkov are gone. We still have other questions. Now, hopefully Bednar will prove to be good enough to be the backup next year. Time will tell. But that opens up space because obviously Sandstrom and Quick are going to be dropped. Jones and Heatley will probably be the 1-2 punch down in the AHL next year. Defensively, still don't know about Severson. I still don't know about Ty Smith long term. We have some questions to answer there. And a lot of it will be based off of whether or not a younger players want to step up. There are some forwards, perhaps, that we could look for moving on from. Not committing to anything just yet, though. So we will likely just make the picks that we have here. I think we're good. Like I said, in terms of... Hey, Montreal gets a Boumediene. Perfect. Is there another forward that I want to get rid of? I don't really think there was. Aside from Bratt. And even then... Hell, we haven't even looked to see... I mean, we traded up into the 10th spot. That's the highest that we're going to get. So, let's go ahead and see who's here. Patterstrom would have been great for us to get. God damn you, Washington. Who else is available in this draft? Ekman. Ekman is there. You have Yves Fortin, who has a good shot, and that's about it. Medium top 6. Ralph Patrick. Not much of a point getter. Sylvain Jelena could be pretty damn good. Theo Flynn. All right, I wanted to check 410 again. Theo Flynn. We don't know enough about. And then Ekman. Quite a few penalty minutes, B's and C's, but a medium elite guaranteed. Trey Long could also be pretty damn good. Is there another defenseman in the mix, though? Let's take a look here at Peyton Allison. Not too bad. No other goalie, or no other goalies, no other defenders projected, huh? Mateo Aho. If we want to add another defenseman to the mix, I mean, it's the guy at the top of the list. It has to be. He is the best guy left in this draft, and you could argue that we need defensemen more than anything else. So while I think someone like Jelena could end up being pretty damn good, I think we need Ekman just for the value. Because if we get rid of a Bratt or anybody else, we're not going to be able to bring in a defenseman of this caliber. And not to mention just the trade value that he'll have. It's going to be pretty beneficial. So I won't be surprised if Jelen is the best player left in this draft, but we're going to take Nicholas Ekman as more of a need. He is a 62. Damn you, Washington. But a medium elite nonetheless. He'll have that damn good trade value that we need. Do the Boston Bruins want to trade their pick? They don't. Let's see if the Nashville Predators want to trade their pick. As Patrick's off the board, high top 6. Do the Purds want to make a deal? They do not. Will they take Jelena? They will not. Do the Detroit Red Wings want to trade their pick? They do not. Damn it. Will they take Jelena? They do not. They took Long. San Jose Sharks. Please, please, please. Damn it. Let's see what they ultimately do. They took Jelena. 75, medium 6. Okay. So with that, I think obviously we'll just make the picks that we have from here. We would have been able to trade up no problem. Flynn also off the board. So let's see who else we have here. And I mean, some of these guaranteed potentials are a bit yikes. B's and C's for McKenzie, but good point totals. I think that's the issue, right? We need those higher grades. So it's looking at grades for someone like Allison. Only 19 goals with that shooting. I don't know if I believe that. Meach has the A shooting, at least 32 goals. Just skating and physical is a bit weak. Caleb Nemish, it's not really a guarantee. Anybody else here? Anybody with crazy good grades? Cam Nash, nothing too ridiculous. Tim Benaral, nothing else too ridiculous. Pope, I think we have our guy at the top of the list here. From the looks of it. Unless I can see someone with good attributes and a stat column to match. I'm not sure who else we're taking here. And there is nobody that's winning me over in this draft. This might be a trade down early experience. So it was Allison, Nemish, or Meach. Meach had that guaranteed A shot. 15th according to our scouts, apparently. Who's ahead of him? Just Breland? Just Breland. Who didn't do anything. You know, we know what we're getting with Meach. We don't really know what we're getting with Breland. And why our scouts would have him ahead, even though that's not confirmed. So I'm almost wondering if just going for the devil we don't know here with either Nemish or Igor Breland is the better way to go. Keith Primo comparison there. No comparison to Breland. You know, I'm gonna go for the shot in the dark here. Let's see how good Igor Breland happens to be. That's unfortunate. High 9 is a very rare potential. We done goofed in terms of trade value. That's a good thing is we already have a pretty good system set up, but that's something you might live to regret when you don't have a third round or a second round pick and you don't pick again until the third round. Yeah, turns out Meach was the way to go, huh? I took the risk, man. I'm like, you know what? Maybe somehow, some ways, like high 6 or medium elite, even though it makes no sense. You can't deny that this would be the game to just suddenly have that guy be good for no reason whatsoever. It was worth a shot. I'm not too upset. The team's still in pretty good shape. But yeah, that was unfortunate. As far as who else is left in this draft, I mean, first and foremost, just let's take a look here. Jukka Tuomainen, Finn. Boy, that's what I want to do is draft more Finns right about now. And Sven Sundin. Ugh. There's nothing great there, is there? We do have low elites, man, but they're in the 200s. That scares me. That scares me quite a bit, except for Emiliano Rippin. I'm not a big fan of too many of the players that I'm seeing here right now. I gotta be honest. The safe bet here would just be to trade the hell down. Get the hell out of Dodge. Although that guy is a medium top 6 at this stage. Sam Champion. 19. He's gonna have a low overall though, man. He is gonna have a very, very low overall. That is the type of player you take for draft picks, you know, to flip him, and for no other reason. And there's Rippin. You know what, Rippin's, he's the guy. Let's go for him. I'm expecting medium 9. I got handed low 6. Ugh, my least favorite potential in this game this year. Is there anybody else? We did well with that very first pick, but aside from that, this has sucked. Been another pretty damn bad draft. Fringe starter for Victor Ladd. I feel like there's a chance of him being medium starter with those B ratings. Good physical, shooting, and puck skills. And that's it for Mr. Tanabe. The skating, of course, horrible. Jyrki Latinen. Medium 9 confirmed. God, if only people in this game could skate once they're drafted. Nobody can. Nobody can. Hemingway. Ugh. And a medium elite Tuomainen. We got to take Tuomainen here. Again, he's going to be a very, very low overall, but screw it. We'll take the value, even though I'm not trying to, you know, use and abuse trade values right now. Let's take a look here. Anybody else who's a safe bet? I doubt it. Sundin. Oh my God, why the hell did that sort again? Sundin, I mean, in the 200s, it's a rarity that it works for me. It's worked already in this series, though, so perhaps it's worth a shot. None of those guys played, apparently. And then out of the confirmed low elites, not looking too good, except for Jonathan Cardwell. He might be my favorite right now. I didn't mean to hit B again. Damn it. I feel like that's just the menus, man. The menus. You're killing me right now. You're killing me. I can't wait for the new team setup, though, because some of these guys, the medium 9 guys, will be worth taking at this point, hoping that they fit the team system and stuff like that. That's going to be a pretty damn nice change. Jack Aritu and Mika Koivunen might be worth it. You know what? Let's go for Jack Aritu from the Calgary Hitmen. The potential's at least guaranteed. He is a 56 overall. So, in general, we've had a decent draft, but it hasn't been phenomenal. We'll take Cardwell here and hope that he's actually a half-decent potential. Yeah, he's okay. Low elite, 58 at 19 years old. It could be worse. Could certainly be worse. Breland at a high 9. I was just hoping for the best. I figured at worst he was going to be medium top 6. He was not. Turns out he was worse than that. And then at this stage, oh God. I mean, there's one goalie and a bunch of forwards, so we'll take Sven Sundin, who is a medium elite, but he's a 56. Maybe it wasn't the 200 I was thinking of. Maybe it was the 300s. I've just played so much franchise mode, my brain's melted. At the very least, we do pick up another defensive prospect in Ekman. But now the big question moving forward, now that we've changed the situation in terms of goaltending, it's what do we do with this team heading into the re-sign phase in the offseason. Now, what I want to take a look at first and foremost is pending free agents, just so that we can see who might be available at the end of this window. And let's look at the goaltenders first and foremost. Even though we're sorted out, there is room to maybe get a better backup if we need to. Defensively, though, Godfrey could be available. He'd be an RFA, however. Colton Godfrey, high elite. Jesus Christmas. For the LA Kings. Yeah, about time that guy's an RFA. Trust me, we're getting him. But Matt Dumba could be available. Lindholm, Let's Hang, D'Angelo, Noah Juleson, Ryan Merkley, Keandre Miller. There are quite a few names, quite a few guys who are projected to be RFA, but quite a few guys that we could look to pick up here to improve this team. It's just how do we trust the offense or the defense right now that we already have? And forward-wise, Valesi, Timo Meier, Huberdeau, Giroux, Kaprizov, Kyle Connor. Quite a few big names out there. Victor Olofsson really developed there for Buffalo. Quite a few big names out here. This could be another big free agent class. Now, we are, of course, retaining salary for the Blackwood deal. We have $3 million worth of retained salary, but we still have $9 million available. So goaltending-wise, I mean, obviously, Sandstrom's off the books. Quick's off the books. So, I mean, Bednar, like I said, probably going to be given a test run as the backup goalie. We have Heatley and Jones, and we'll sign a 5th guy. So the goaltending, pretty much straightforward. We know what that is. But defensively, Damon Severson, what is he looking for right now? 4.8. $4.8 million. Now, again, yes, we do have high-caliber forwards who are taking points away, and we don't have defensemen for the most part on the power play. But 11 points this past year? I mean, at least last year, too. He had 6 points. So he had 23 points last year, straight up and not factoring in special teams. He had 11 points this year. Is that a big enough warning sign that just maybe it's not going to work out with him? 4.8 for about 4 years. Maybe a little bit less. I mean, maybe a little bit more because he doesn't want to sign. Is he worth that? Or do we let him go and see who else is available? I think that is primarily going to be decided by whether or not we think we can trust Moritz Seider, Ty Smith, who is looking for just under $4 million. We'll be able to bring that down quite a bit. Spurgeon, do we give him another chance? Martinic might be ready for an opportunity. You still have Walsh there, who's been somewhat dependable. Bernard, we know Colton White's gone. Holtz will probably drop too. He wasn't that impressive when we gave him a chance. But you see the point there when it comes to the defense primarily. It's how much do we want to trust these younger guys? You know, if we say that we want to trust Severson and the younger guys, there's no room to bring in any other defensemen. If we get rid of Severson, then we're left with Butcher, Schultz, Seider, Smith, Spurgeon, Martinek. That's still 6 if we want to trust that they're ready. We have to decide out of this group who we think is worth giving the opportunity to. And Moritz Seider thus far at the NHL level just hasn't cut it. He's been decent in the AHL, but at the NHL level, he has been trash. That is the only real way to describe it, and it's surprising because he is pretty damn well-rounded. Now, Ty Smith also hasn't been great. He really hasn't been. He was good in that first season, 2020-2021, where, of course, I sent him down because defensively I still had my concerns. Hey, what do you know? That there might have been onto something there, unless you want to blame it all on the goaltending, in which case I wouldn't blame you. Patrick Spurgeon wasn't great this season, did much, much better once we sent him down to the AHL in his rookie year, and then Richard Martinek had a pretty damn good season in the AHL this year, so I'll be excited to see what he can do if we give him the opportunity. But, again, too many people already for too few spots, to the point where bringing in free agents doesn't really make sense, so we have a decision to make there. Forward-wise, I mean, we're good. Like Zetterland, Altai Barmakian need deals. Nathan Bastian's going to get cut. Like Dubilowicz will probably be signed and played in the AHL. Left wings, Blake Coleman, who we'll probably look to bring back, but if we don't, it's fine. We have the decision to make on Bratt. I mean, granted, on this right side, pretty much no decisions to make. We still have that decision to make with Bratt, and whether or not we think he deserves another opportunity after a decent showing in the playoffs this year. Again, his point production's not the question. That's not what we're debating, whether or not he can do that. And then when it comes to the litany of centers, I mean, Gates needs a new deal. 29 points this season. He's done pretty well defensively, maybe a bit shaky. And in the postseason this year, he didn't do a damn thing for us. And then Evan Barrett was really shaky in the postseason, but he had 21 points in 44 games in the regular season, so he's likely to get another opportunity. And then in the system, I mean, Bedini, Pavanka, Talviti, I guess, are going to need contracts, but there really aren't that many big decisions to make there. It's Bratt, and it's the defense. That's what we have to sort out right now. And ultimately, I'm going to leave a lot of that decision-making up to you guys. Let me know what you think. At the very least, though, we were swept by Buffalo, and thus ends the Mackenzie Blackwood era in New Jersey.